Okay. This is going to be a mouth demo. Okay, so we're going to draw the mouth today. We're going to use this picture as my reference. Nice straight on, pretty much expressionless mouth, but good dark value in the middle and good highlights as well, so we can kind of see all the values in that picture. So um, when we do a regular facing, we just start out and give ourselves those guidelines. We start out with a mouth line. So we're going to go ahead and give ourselves that mouth line to go off of. Okay? I'm going to try and make it nice and straight for the purposes of the video. I'm trying to keep my paper from going crooked. Okay, the first thing we're going to look at is the inside line. So the line in between the two lips, where the top lip meets the bottom lip. We're going to look at the shape of that line. Now, it's not as simple as just a, curve if it's a smile or straight line. It's got subtle movements in it, which are really important for making a mouth look realistic. So we're going to start there. We're first going to give ourselves some guidelines. These are going to be the corners of my mouth. Like the lines that I draw down from the pupils of the eye when we're doing our proportions. I'm going to go ahead and give myself a vertical line. I'm going to tilt my paper so I can reach, for like a guideline of the center. Okay, so we're going to start with that as a guideline. We're going to draw our mouth right in between there. Okay, so the first thing is I'm going to put the corners of the mouth, in between my guidelines on my line. Okay, so that's where I'm going to start, corners of the mouth. Then I'm going to notice from the corners of the mouth, the line drops down slightly and it curves slowly back up till the middle, slowly back down, and then slowly back up. And then this point is also kind of on that horizontal line going across. So that's those are three really good guide points to kind of help us. And then in between there, we're going to draw that slow sloped line going down for the lip, okay? I'm going to draw this kind of bigger than average, so get a good sense of the lip. Okay, if I don't think that that is necessarily correct, I'm going to adjust it. I'm going to kind of smooth out where it meets at that point. That seems kind of harsh to me. So I'm going to work that line until I feel like, yeah, that's about right. Okay, now then I'm going to kind of look about the distance, the thickness of the lips. Now the top lip and the bottom lip, generally the top lip is a little bit thinner than the bottom lip. In this reference, she's got some good plump lips. Her top lip is just about as thick as her bottom lip, just a tiny bit thinner. So I'm going to look at the distance between the bottom of her Cupid's bow, which is this little dip right here, and the line, and then as well as the distance from the bottom lip to the top lip. The bottom lip is a little bit bigger than the top distance. So when I lay those distances in, I'm going to kind of put those distances appropriately as far as the reference photo goes. Okay. Now I'm going to look at the angle of the Cupid's bow up here, if it's, more subtle like this, or if it's really sharp like that. She has a pretty 90-degree angle right there, kind of. A little higher than that. And then the angle of her lips coming down. To that point. So it's pretty much a straight line, which makes it easy for us. And then before I do it on the other side, I'm going to adjust the proportion. So this looks a little long and that looks small comparatively to the photo. So I'm going to move my point over so the proportion is a little bit nicer, more accurate. I'm going to do that to the same side. Remember, when you're drawing from a reference, you always want to look at what you're drawing about, more than you're looking at your drawing. You want to look at the reference so you can actually know what something looks like. You'd be surprised at how we don't know. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom lip. I'm going to see where it goes from the middle. In the photo, it kind of goes out at a horizontal, subtle curve, and then up to the lip. So, and it kind of goes out a horizontal, about like a third of the lip on that picture right here. If I cut it into thirds. So I'm going to kind of you know, imagine it cut into thirds. I'm going to sketch that. I think I can go even lower with that. Her lips are like pretty plump looking. I'm not used to drawing lips so big, so it seems kind of weird to make them so fat, but that seems better, doesn't it? Notice how I'm constantly adjusting as I see fit. Those lines are 2 hours. I'm going to kind of change the way that line hits that. Kind of hits it more at a curve going this way instead of a straight line. So I'm trying to adjust that a little bit on both sides. And that's going to be more accurate to the way that that lip hits that point. See? Okay, now I'm going to do the rest with value and shading. Okay, now it's dark along that center line, and it's kind of, there's a little tiny space, okay, in between that. I like going darks first, okay, because you can kind of go in with confidence where you see those darks, okay? I'm going to go this way too. The corners of the mouth, hanging up those shadows from the top lips. And then I like drawn lips because they have that texture on them. So as long as you're going in the directional lines of that texture, I like drawn lips because they can be kind of expressive and fun. I'm going to go ahead and put some kind of cracks, just do kind of directional lines. Pretty much up and down, slightly angled out, especially a little bit more as you get to the corners. Think about the curve of that lip on the outside, you know, the shape. If you had to draw, think about it, you know. I'm going to notice kind of where the highlights are. Now the top lip is darker than the bottom lip because it tends to almost always be in shadow. There's actually no kind of super white bright highlights on it. So I'm going to go ahead and shade that whole thing. Okay. I'm going to lighten up this top line so she doesn't have a big cartoon outline. No cartoon outlines to anyone ever. Thank you. Keep your cartoons in your other sketchbook. Okay, I'm going to soften that up. Because it's really important that this highlight is strong. Okay, that highlight rides the very top of our top lip and rides the Cupid's bow up as well. Okay, that highlight is really important if you're drawing a realistic, looks like I have another little tiny highlight in there. Really important if you're drawing a realistic pair of lips. Okay. Remember, a lot of times creating realistic forms is creating realistic shapes and highlights and shadows around those forms. So the shading above the lip is almost, well, it's equally important as the actual shading of the lips. Okay, see how that kind of makes it come to life? Okay, now we'll kind of block in the highlights right here on the lips. I sometimes go overboard, so if I block it in, then I'll avoid that space when I first start doing my texture and my lines. I'm going to do some nice shadows in the corners. I'm going to kind of do a general shading all around the lip and then do the details for the bottom one. So a little bit darker all the way around. Definitely darker right under the lip. Go ahead and push that pretty dark with your pencil and fade it out kind of in a concave shape. Okay, right under where those shadows go. Okay, then we can do some of these lines, creases. Maybe they go over the highlight a little bit. little bit more natural. I'm coming along pretty good. Now I can almost always, everyone can almost always push their darks a little farther, okay? So I can kind of push my shadow here, especially on this side. Here too. It's important to kind of keep a good highlight though on that bottom lip. She's gonna got a darker shadow right there on her lips. And then I'm gonna lighten up that harsh line on the bottom because that's not really there in the photo either. No cartoon outlines, please, never ever. I call that killing the cartoon. Gotta look back and kill the cartoon. I don't care if you like that style. It is not a style, it's a cop-out. Does that mean? No. Oh well. Okay, and then I could keep adding, you can keep adding as well, but that's good for the length of the video.